Welcome to the Rumbizai Show. Welcome everyone. We're so happy to be here. Salibonani to those who are Ndebele speakers, Makadini to Shona speakers. Hello to English speakers. Hello to everyone and welcome. Please, if you're watching this live, invite your friends, press the share button and just greet us in the comments and tell us where you're from and say hello. Today, I've got with me a very special guest, my daughter. Her name is Tasha Miswa Ruvarashe Vunzawabaya. She's 14 years old and she's going to be talking about her experiences in COVID-19, experiences during the Black Lives Matter movement and how it affected her, and some of the work that she's done in the community during lockdown and during the global pandemic. We now have time to just relax and reflect and look back, and that's what we're going to be doing in our conversation today. So join us and join me as I greet Tasha.
Hi.
Hello and welcome to the Rumbizai Show. Welcome. Because you don't know what to say. That's good. Just say thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
That's good. It feels a bit weird because we're just sitting here at home and we always talk every day. Yeah. But I know that you've got some really great stuff that you've been doing, and I want you to share that so that you can share it to other young people, and you can you can just talk about some of the things that you faced as a 14-year-old girl. So firstly, I'm just going to ask about when the lockdown was announced and school was closed. How did you feel?
I felt quite happy because I didn't have to wake up early for school, and also it would be a lot easy just working from your computer.
Okay, so you found that not going to school, you were happy about that.
Yeah.
That's good. And what about the whole coronavirus and the news about this virus that was taking over the world? How did you feel about that?
Because at first I heard that someone was talking about it at school, a virus that was in China, and I wasn't really worried about it because I thought it's just not going to come. And then when there was more news headlines, I was a bit more worried and a bit more anxious. And then when school closed down, I felt a bit safer just being at home.
Okay, so you felt safer being at home rather than going out to school.
Yeah.
That's good. And how did your friends feel? Did you talk about it? Did you talk about the coronavirus?
Yes, we did. We said we were going to FaceTime each other every day. That didn't last very long. And I think most people were quite happy to not go to school every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you found that being at home was, you were happy about not going to school every day?
Yeah.
And what did your typical school day look like during the whole, it's been 4 months of no school, how did your typical day look? How did you do it then?
So I usually wake up at 8:30 and then went on my phone for 20 minutes, and then I went to the bathroom and got ready, and then sat on my desk from 9 till 11, and I had a break at 11, and then from 11:15 to 1 and then from 1 to 4. Okay,
so it was just was it just like school, like normal?
Yeah, but the breaks went a little bit quicker at home.
Okay. And what did you do your normal timetable? Can you explain a little bit more about that? What did you do?
Yeah, we had our normal timetable, and for the first half term, since we've closed school at a bit of an awkward time, for that first bit we didn't have as many live lessons, and we just got assigned work to do. But then for the next term, we had a lot more live lessons.
So you had live lessons with your teachers. And how was that for you?
You got used to it, and then we used Microsoft Teams, and there was a lot more new features you could do. You could raise your hand, and then there was a chat bar, and you got used to it quite quickly.
You got used to it. So you adapted to the new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the new normal. Wow. And what about things like PE? Because you usually do PE at school, you do games. What did you do for that?
So we have games all afternoon on Tuesday. So we had a 10-minute live lesson every week, and we had to tell our teacher what we did. So we just did exercises at home, and she would give us videos to follow or things to do, and we had to write it all down.
And how did you find I know you and your brothers because I'm your mom. I know that you did something really great during lockdown. Could you tell us a little bit about Afrofeed?
So my brothers and I started a charity under Migrant Family Support where we served African hot meals to people because we realised that we were quite blessed during coronavirus and we had food and we had everything we needed, whereas other people didn't. So we started a community organisation under Migrant Family Support.
So you started this, you said it's called Afrofeed.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with that? How did you come up with the concept? Just tell us slowly. Tell us about how you started and what that was about.
So we were just at the dinner table eating dinner and then Mum came up with the idea and it just went from there and we started mind mapping things to do. Mind
mapping, what's that?
It's just like talking to each other about what the name should be, about what we're going to do, who to contact and things like that.
So you did a mind map with like a brainstorming.
Yeah, like that.
About the name. So Afrofeed.
Yeah.
Great. And what was your strapline? How did you come up with that?
Community through food. That was our strapline. And Mum and Dad, it was saying in Shona, I forgot what it's called, what it said. What was it?
I've forgotten it. It's gone out of my head. Yeah, we did. You did ask my mom, didn't you? You texted and asked, yeah. So that's good. So how was that for you? I mean, how did you manage that because you had school and then you had this project that you were doing, feeding people. How did you manage to do that? So as I said, during my breaks, when I had my breaks, I'd usually go downstairs and say for making chicken and rice, I'd put the chicken in and then like check on it in between lessons since we have a 5-minute break. And just make sure it's not burnt, and then just make the rice during lunchtime, and then my brothers and I would plate them all out. And did you, how many meals did you make? Is this just meals like for 5 people? How many people did you make for? So every week we served around 30 people, and throughout the whole course of the like Afrofeed, we served over 1,000 meals. 1,000 meals. Yeah. So that's not small meals. No. Yeah, wow, that's great. I saw you juggling school and Afrofeed, and that was some great commitment, because I think projects are exciting at the beginning, but when you keep doing them, because it was quite a long time, it can get tiring. What made you think you're 14 years old, your brother is 16 and your other brother's 22? I did help you with the idea, but I wasn't implementing it. It was you guys who did it. What made you feel that you could do such a big project? I think it's just because we really wanted to help people who weren't as fortunate and blessed as we were. So we just wanted to share like what we have with other people. And that's probably what allowed us to continue it for such a long time. And how did you find it? What type of people did you help? We helped all kinds of people. We helped old people, we have vegetarians, we helped men, women, some like people who ran away from home, and we've helped a lot of people. Right, so you had people who ran away from home? Yeah. During the coronavirus? Yes, I think, I'm not 100% sure on her story, but I think it was during the coronavirus. Yeah. So did you, what type of food did you cook? So we cooked usually chicken probably once a week or so, pasta, jollof rice, normal rice, potato wedgies and chicken, goat curries, vegetable curries, sadza, yeah, beef stew. Yeah, that's great. That's good. You did a really fantastic job. And I saw how even in adversity, when times are hard, you can use whatever's going on around you, you can use it for good. You can do something to benefit someone else, to lift up somebody else, and to do something positive. And when you do something positive, it helps take away from your own stresses. That's what I found in helping other people, that I stopped to focus on me and focus on other people, and it helped me to cope as well through the coronavirus. Through that pandemic. You've had you mentioned a little bit that you were a bit anxious about the deaths, and we had a bit of a scare with the coronavirus here. what did you do to cope? What coping mechanisms as a young person did you have for yourself? That's the first question. And then the second part of that same question is, what would you tell other young people? If there's a young person watching, what would you tell them or advise them for someone who's struggling with their mental health, with anxiety and stress during this whole pandemic? What advice would you give them?
Personally, I read my Bible every day and it really helps me. And prayer helps me a lot to just because God just helps me to not be as stressed or as anxious. That's what I'd recommend if you're a Christian. And if not, I don't really know. I don't know. Maybe sports or exercise helps me sometimes.
Okay. All right, that's good. And how are you looking forward to going? Are you looking forward to going back to school?
No, not really. Not at all, to be honest. Just seeing my friends and that's it.
You're not looking forward to going back to school?
Nope.
Why is that?
I don't want to wake up early, to be honest. It's just been nice being at home. It's a lot easier.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's good. And I want to talk about something else now. We're going to conclude, but we had during the coronavirus, we then had the death of George Floyd. And when George Floyd died, there were protests that started around the world. Protests started in America, and they spread to England, to Australia, to almost every part of the world. And you became quite involved in that on social media, online. I want you to just tell us how did the death of George Floyd affect you personally?
It just kind of, because I wasn't really aware of how much racism there was. Obviously, I knew there was still racism, but it kind of just when you see all the figures and stuff like that, it really almost just sparked up an awareness in you that racism is still around and people don't even realize it and they're just being a bit ignorant and yeah.
And personally, how did that make you feel when you realized that there were differences in color and that people are treated differently because of their color?
Really sad and a bit angry.
Angry?
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
It kind of just made me feel angry that people would actually treat people differently because of the colour of their skin, especially now that we're in 2020. It's just a bit crazy that people would still do that. And especially, it's kind of made me a bit, I don't know how to describe it, but it just a bit annoyed at people who were racist. And it made me more aware of racism in everyday life.
Made you more aware?
Yeah.
And did it make you, have you personally experienced racism?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you, what type of, experiences have you had?
In school with teachers and sometimes peers. And yeah, people just joking about racism and saying the N-word and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. It's good to have awareness, and like you said, you had anger. I know that you had anger because I live with you and I know that you were quite angry about it. What did you do to deal with that? How did you cope with that?
I deleted Instagram and social media because it was making me, I'm just going to be honest, it was kind of making me hate white people. Oh. So I had to delete Instagram so I wasn't hating them. And
so why did you hate white people because of Instagram and social media?
Because every single post was about racism and it just made you more involved in it. Because obviously as Black people, we have to still face it every single day. And then seeing it even more on social media just makes it more of a reality.
More of a reality.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a story about a little girl that really affected you, isn't it?
Yeah.
What, do you remember her name?
No, I don't think so.
The little girl who went to school and she had to have guards.
Oh, yeah. I remember her story, but I forgot her name.
Yeah. So you on social media, you were seeing all these stories.
Yeah.
And they were inflaming your emotions, so to speak.
Just fueling
the fire.
Yeah.
Okay. So switching off from social media. How did you find that then? Was that helpful?
Yeah, it was very helpful. Like just a weight lift off my shoulder.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then what did you do after that then?
I don't know. What do you mean? Like,
how else did you then get rid of it? Because you've talked about how it made you aware, and then it fueled anger in you.
Oh, okay. So
and it made you have negative emotions like hatred for other people and maybe judging other races.
Yeah.
And putting them all in one box because of things that have happened historically. So switching off social media was one thing that you did. And are there other things that how did you replace the negative emotions with positive? Did you do anything to do that?
Yeah, praying about it and just talking to God about how I felt really helped me.
Okay. And did you, so praying, talking to God about how you felt, did this whole racism thing, did it affect you in how you view yourself? Did it affect your self-worth or self-esteem at all?
Not really, to be honest.
Okay.
No, not really.
That's good. That's good. And what would you tell other children who are still in that place where you were angry, who are still in that revenge mode? Because there's been a lot of protest, a lot of emotion, a lot of anger. What would you say to another 14-year-old who's in the same position as you?
I'll definitely recommend, if you are still quite angry about it, talk to people, and also delete social media for maybe a week or so, because it does really help you a lot. So make sure you talk about it and delete the thing that's causing you to feel angry about it.
Okay. So the posts on social media are the ones that were triggering a lot. And I think that's really important as parents. If parents are watching this, it's so important for us to be aware of what our children are watching on social media. If I'm honest with you, I didn't even know. Okay, I knew what Tasha would tell me about what's going on, but I wouldn't be able to follow the posts that she was following. I'd never followed. I didn't know what she was reading. I didn't know what was going into her head in terms of talking about Black Lives Matters and talking about all the racism and discrimination that happens around the world. And this is like breeding ground for people who can radicalize our children. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted Tasha to talk about her own experience. And I'm now talking to parents who may be watching, that we don't know. I didn't know. And I didn't realize the impact that it had. But easily we can lose our children because of the time that they spend on social media, what they watch, who's feeding them, and what information they're being fed. Because during this Black Lives Matters movement, the issues of racism are valid issues. They're issues that we face. But it's how do we deal with those issues? It brings like a void in our children's lives where they can be filled with hatred, or they can be filled with awareness and a realization of what is happening, but that can be changed into positive energy and positivity and positive action. So hearing Tasha, even as I'm speaking to her now and realizing that switching off, she made a decision by herself, not because I'm a good parent, but she made a decision by herself to switch off social media because she knew that's where the hatred and the negative emotions were coming from. So it's important for us to, as parents, to always be communicating with our children, aware of what they're watching, aware of how it's making them feel, and then being able to channel them in a way which is positive. So that's really important what you've just said, Tasha. And for me, I actually hadn't realized, even just as we're talking now, it's now making sense because you said, oh, I'm switching off my Instagram, I'm switching off this. But then it didn't really click about how easily you could be radicalized. Easily you could be taken by extremists who would then influence you and you change even your narrative of your life. So that's really important. And so thank you for sharing that. You've become involved as well in a project in Coventry, which is trying to bring positivity into, I know it's still early days, but would you like to talk about that a little bit?
So it's just like an organisation. I forgot the name, but it's a group of young people from all different backgrounds and ethnicities in Coventry. And we first met on Zoom and we're talking about what we're going to do to raise awareness. And now we're going to meet in person to talk more about it.
And you're going to organise some events during Black History Month as well. So that's really good. And it's a diverse group, and it's the councils involved and various groups in Coventry are involved. So that's really good. And that's a good way of channeling your emotions in a positive way. So well done for that. Do you have any messages that you want to send, just as we wrap up? Any messages that you want to send to any other young people about anything that we've talked about the pandemic or Black Lives Matters? Or
I would say, even if people have been rude to you, try and love them, because if you just hate them back, it's not going to do anything. But if you try to love, it will make it better. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tasha, for coming on and agreeing to speak to me and to the other children. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for sharing and for your comments. Please continue to comment and just to tell us your experiences, what your children's experiences have been, and also experiences with social media. This episode, just talking to Tasha, was to raise awareness about perhaps the impact of social media and what it can have on children. We have some of our young people who are involved in terrorism, some are involved in child sexual exploitation, some are involved in radicalization, extremist movements. And it's so easy to start just on their phone, just reading things that appear good, which can lead them astray. So it's important for us to be vigilant, to have conversations with them, and to be able to steer them in the right direction, so that they can steer their emotions into something positive and something good. Afrofeed was such a good initiative that the children did, and they inspired and encouraged me because of their resilience, their strength, and just working hard together to help someone else, which in turn opened up more doors of opportunity. Sometimes when we go through pandemics and we go through difficult and challenging times in life, it's an opportunity for us to see how we can, whenever you look to others rather than looking inward, you're able to achieve more, to cope better, and to make a positive impact. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our page, share this stream, and join us next time. Be blessed.